can't, I'm just picking back up this part 3. You can't even see what you was there. And that's why Satan will cause disharmony and hostility between the people in your life that God could use as a tool to prevent you from going through things you don't have to go through with people that have won your loyalty in your life.
Yeah, but sometimes when you have a hidden desire in you, you might not know specifically what it is or why you have a longing for something that deep down, according to the word, if you go back to it, you know you shouldn't desire in the first place. You'll push that person away because you already know it's a possibility they're going to say something that goes against what you were desiring in the first place.
Exactly.
You want to do.
Yep, exactly. That's why he says that these things, those particular sins he named, they manifest from your own lurking desires. Every human on this earth, in Jeremiah, I think it's 16:9, the heart is deceitful above all things. Every human on this earth. So there are things in our heart that even deceive us. There are things in our heart we don't even know there yet that's hidden. That's why we need God to expose us every day and examine us and show us our heart so we'll know what areas are unguarded and are in need of protection. And so that's what happens. And so when this person has been so good to you, all of a sudden go ham and you don't understand what's going on. You like, what did I do to this person? And you know, and the whole time God has somebody in your life that could discern for you. He will always, God will never just leave you out there hanging. He don't never leave or forsake you. Even when we're not faithful, he's faithful, because God is always faithful. But because you kept that person away from you, you weren't able to even get a heads up on what was going on. And on top of that, it's just like with Judas. What Judas did to Jesus, Jesus had no problems out of Judas up until then. I mean, that one time where, you know, she came and put the perfume on his feet, and Judas was like, we could have made money off of that. That was a waste of money, that one small incident, you know, because he's a treasurer. But what he did last didn't even compare to that. That possibility of betrayal was in Judas from the beginning. Satan can't use you and do something that it wasn't in you, lurking in you, deceitfully in your heart from the beginning. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and go and smoke crack. That's something that's not in my heart. And we need to know what's in our heart and what's not. What are our weaknesses and what's not. We can't do what everybody else do. One Christian may can be around people that smoke, but another Christian may not. And we need to learn those things that are dangerous for us and stay away from them and not base them on somebody else. So it was in Judas the whole time. Matter of fact, Jesus was sitting at the table eating dinner. He said, one of y'all go betray me. It was in Judas then. Judas didn't even know it was in Judas, because Judas told Jesus, not me, master.
He was oblivious.
He was totally oblivious to it. A lot of times people are oblivious to the things that are in them, and that's what gets them into trouble that we end up getting into.
In the state of sin that they're in, because think about it. Right after he had said that, he rushed and went off, not even thinking or realizing what he was about to go off and do.
Exactly.
I mean, the state of sin he was in was so strong, and just being spiritually unaware.
Exactly. And why was he spiritually unaware? The Word of God says that God created His Word to be a mirror, to show you how much you need God, to show you how unrighteous you are, to show you the things that you have that are wrong, that you need God for. That's the purpose of the Word. So when you ain't looking in that mirror no more, no, Judas or anybody else not gonna know that that was in them, because they ain't in the Word. The Word exposes those hidden deceitful things in our hearts to us. It speaks to you. And the Word, just like the mirror, I think, what was that, Beauty, not Beauty and Beast, Sleeping Beauty, and she said, who's the fairest of all? And the mirror basically would tell her what, Snow White, yeah, and the mirror would tell her what she wanted to hear. The Word of God don't tell you what you want to hear. It tell you what you need to hear.
That's what Jesus was to them, their mirror.
He was their mirror.
Because he never, told them anything opposite of the Word.
Exactly.
He did everything he did to expose
those
hidden things.
Exactly.
So that they could see it, by being in his very presence.
Exactly. Every day. And you know what Judas should have said when Jesus said that? Instead of saying, Master, not me, he should have said, Jesus, could it possibly be me?
I was just about to say,
do you see something in me that I don't see?
Because, you saw what Peter did.
Exactly.
He was concerned, but see, that shows the contrast between Peter and Judas. Because Jesus actually told him, he answered his question and told him, you're going to betray me, And he couldn't see that wickedness was in him, that he would do something like that because he loved Jesus. But he was willing, to listen. We can't shut off our ears spiritually and refuse to listen to God and what he has to say.
Yeah.
He didn't want to accept it.
He didn't want to accept it.
But see, Judas didn't even care to even ask.
No. And that's what he should have done. He should have asked him. And that's what we should do. If somebody that we know God speaks through say something to us, we should take heed to it. God said test everything by the Spirit. I'm not saying listen to it and don't test it by the Spirit. I would never tell somebody to do something that's opposite of the Word of God. But the Word of God says test all things by the Spirit. So if a man or woman of God come to us and say something, God will even use a stranger to speak to you. He used a bush to speak to Moses. Never underestimate who and what God can speak to you through. God can speak to you through a glass of Jack Daniels and tell you don't need to drink this. If you continue doing this, your life is going to lead here. God can speak to you through anything, but are you listening? Do you want to hear what he's saying? And that was the problem. Even when Jesus was telling Peter, you go deny me 3 times before the rooster crow, Peter didn't want to hear that. He was like, no, Jesus, not me. No, I'm not. He didn't want to hear. If one of them disciples would have said, Peter, yeah, I agree with Jesus, that's what's going to happen, he would have got offended and got mad. Matter of fact, what do we do when we get offended? We want that person away from us. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And so we set ourselves up for failure when we do that. Take heed when somebody tell you something. And even if you don't believe what they're saying when they first say it to you, go and talk to God about it and test it by the Spirit and see is there any truth in it. And it potentially could save your soul. Because you don't know when you're going to take your last breath.
Yeah, you don't want to get defensive.
Exactly.
About anything that God is saying, especially, if he's saying it through somebody God uses.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? Offense prevents deliverance. Every single time. Offense will prevent deliverance every single time. That's why the word says that you will have an opportunity to be offended daily, not because of God. God don't, just same way he don't tempt us, he don't go and just try to offend us. But he was letting us know this was Satan do. He roams the earth to and from looking to see whom he may devour. So he was saying that there's an opportunity for offense, but don't let it take over you. And see, that's what we need, and that's what we're lacking. And just like I've told people, and I've even had to tell myself, this person had this in them the whole time. Sometimes I can see it. From the very beginning, I can see, oh no, this person ain't right for you. No, this person do this, that for me. I'm telling you, this person ain't right for you. I mean, look at everything that Judas did for Jesus, but look what he did in the end. And that's why discernment is so important. That's why you got to look in the mirror every day. It ain't, most people in the natural realm, especially if you're going for a job interview and certain things that are very important, the first thing you do when you wake up is go and look in the mirror. So in the natural realm, if that's what we do, there's a system. In the spiritual realm, we should do that also. When we wake up in the morning, we should open that word and look in that mirror. God, what do you want to show me today? That's where the law come from in people's eye. How does a law get placed in your eye? By not looking in the mirror. Because that log is like Pinocchio's nose almost. It starts off as a splinter. It starts off really, really small. But the more that you reject the word of God, either by reading the word but not meditating on it and really receiving, or by not reading the word, that splinter begins to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you have a log in your eye. So you can't even see things clearly. You see other people's wickedness, but you can't even see your own wickedness. And that's another people's problem. And we too quick to put people in a particular category. Take your time. It's okay to question people's motives and intentions. Satan tricked us and made us think that's wrong.